Hello, friends. I'm Michael Kingswood. I write fiction for fun and profit, and I am a horrible Star Trek fan who never finished Voyager or Enterprise. And to atone for those sins, I'm going through them now on this channel, watching them episode by episode and talking about my thoughts about them here for your edification and mine, and to give me an excuse to not slack off on this anymore. We are going through Voyager at the moment. We'll do Enterprise after Voyager's done, and then move on to other stuff if we feel like it and you would like it to. And we're up to episode 8 of season 1, Emanations. So the way I handle things here is I don't do the standard YouTube reaction thing because I'm not really reacting. I'm just talking about what I think about it. So I'll give you a synopsis, and then we'll talk about things that stood out and what I thought about it, and go from there. If you think that sounds like fun, stick around. If you don't think that sounds like fun, stick around anyway. Anyway, Emanations. Yeah, so I like this one as well. Like I said in previous times, talking through this season 1 has had ups and downs. First one was pretty good. I dug it, dragged me in. The next two were like, yeah. Number 4 was okay. 5 and 6, episodes 5 and 6 and 7 have all been pretty fun. And this one was good, but it's interesting because this one, it's not that the plot was good, because the plot's pretty basic, but the themes and exploration of the theme is what really was its strength, and that caught me and made me dig it. So let's go through it real quick. So they're flying through space. They're trying to get home, and they scan rings of a planet that they're passing nearby. And holy cow, there's a element that's never been seen before, a transuranic element that is stable. And like, holy cow, we could do all kinds of awesome stuff with this. Let's go check it out. And in the rings, it's not just ringed planet. There's also asteroids near the rings, and they beam down to one of them, and they find all these dead bodies. And it's like, what's going on here? And then a weird kind of rift opens. They try to beam back to the ship. It was Chakotay and Torres make it back, but Harry Kim is gone. In his place is a dead body that wasn't there before. What the heck's going on here? And so they're confused. And then flash over to Harry Kim, and he's on some alien planet. Looks like they're having a burial ritual, and he's in a coffin looking thing, and he bangs it up, and they're like, oh, is the girl alive again? But no, it's not. It's not the girl that they just buried. It's Harry, and everyone's all confused. So the rest of the episode is they managed to revive the dead alien girl on Voyager, because she had only just died, and she had cancer they found easy to cure. So they managed to revive her. And of course, she freaks out. She thinks she's supposed to be in the afterlife, but she's not. What the hell's going on? And on Harry's side of things, he's like, where the hell am I? Who are you people? And they're like, who the hell are you? You're the only person who ever came back from the afterlife. Tell us about it. It's like, I can't tell you about it. And he encounters the alien scientist, who is also kind of like a preacher, who heads up their funeral services and their exploration of death and the afterlife. And he also meets another alien guy who's getting ready to die. But once he sees Harry, he's no longer certain about his beliefs about the afterlife. And, can't blame him, because Harry just came back from the afterlife and said he just saw dead bodies there. So Voyager is now trying to figure out how to find Harry, and they're going around, they go around scanning the asteroids, but all of a sudden these rifts keep coming up and dead bodies start appearing on the ship, and they figure out that somehow, for some reason or other, the rifts that are bringing the dead bodies are attracted to their warp core, and their containment's going to be breached over time. So they bugger off. Torres figures out a way to reinforce the antimatter containment field, and they go back to try to continue the search for Harry. In the meantime, the girl that they revived is understandably extremely confused. Can't understand how the afterlife isn't what she thought it was. Janeway has some great scenes with her, and so does Cass. Basically saying, hey, we don't know what this has to do with your afterlife, and it may not have anything to do with it. We're trying to find our guy." And of course, she's not happy about that. On Harry's side, the uh, the scientist slash death studier guy has done a bunch of tests on him, but can't figure anything out. And meanwhile, the alien who was getting ready to die and his wife start having a fight because he's no longer certain about what he's going to see over there, and maybe he's not ready to go. And she tells Harry off and takes off, and then and the alien guy's like, "Tell me about tell me about the afterlife." And Harry's like, I I I know what we think about the afterlife." She's like, "But well, you guys never studied it." So we have theologians and philosophers and scientists have studied it, but nobody has ever come up with an answer. And this guy's, starting to lose his faith about what's going on. Meanwhile, word about Harry has gotten out to the rest of the alien populace, and they are starting to freak out too. And the scientist guy is like, "Look, we got to get you out of here. Got to take you to a secure facility because you're not safe. And also, it's the only place we can think of where we could help, study to help figure this out." And of course, Harry doesn't like that because, hey man, Voyager's looking for me. If they figure out a way to find me, it'll be here where I came. And but he's like, "Nope, we're shipping you out anyway." Meanwhile, over on Voyager, um, they've come back, and more dead bodies have shown up. Now the girl that they revived is like, "Look, I don't belong here. I can't stay here." And Janeway agrees, but I'm not sure what to do. But they discover that another one of those rifts are going to be opening soon, and they're like, "Hey, well, maybe if we send you back, you can you can give Harry a message from us. Uh, we can take this device; it'll help lock onto him, and he can come through the next rift, and we can get him back." It's like, okay, but there's no guarantee this will work. She's like, "Well, uh, basically," she says, "Well, that's where I belong. I don't belong here. I'm ready to die if that's necessary." And sure enough, it doesn't work. They're trying to transport her into one of the rifts. It doesn't work. She comes back a dead body, and that's unfortunate, but is what it is. On the other side, the alien side, Harry is back in the waiting room with the guy who's waiting to die, and the guy's putting on his death shroud, and he's like, the alien guy. He's like, "Hey, I'm not so sure about this anymore. I have some friends up in the mountains. They might just take me in and not tell anybody I'm still around." And Harry's like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'll put on your shroud. I'll take your place. You go to the mountains, and hopefully I can get back to Voyager." And the guy's like, "Well, these coffin things, they kill you." He's like, "Well, my people have advanced medical technology, and they might be able to revive me." So that's what they do. Harry puts on the shroud. They put him in the coffin thing. The transport happens, and well, the things come out and kill him inside the coffin. And on the other side, Voyager is getting more dead bodies showing up on their ship, and they're transporting them to an asteroid every time one shows up. But the containment field modification that Torres did isn't holding up much longer. It's going to give out any minute now, and Janeway reluctantly says, "All right, let's get out of here." And of course, right then is when the rift opens and from Harry's coffin thing, and he gets deposited on Voyager. They manage to revive him, and all's well that ends well. We fly off into the sunset with Voyager, and Harry has left with a lot to think about, and Janeway gives him a few days to absorb it all before he has to go back on duty. So, not a very complicated story. Not much of as far as plot goes, not a huge amount. I mean, they sort of got an A plot, B plot thing between Harry's side and the dead alien girl that they found inside. Her name was Patara. And then you have Hatil, who's the guy who's getting ready to die on the other end. Um, but not really an A plot, B plot because it's all rolled into one. And the plot itself is, not, if it wasn't for the themes being addressed, it probably would have been, whatever. But because of the themes and the way it carries out throughout the entire episode, I thought it was pretty well put together. I liked it a lot. So, key points that stuck out to me. Again, we had some great stuff from Chakotay. At the very beginning, right? They go down the asteroids and they're walking through this, it looks like spider webs. And of course, I'm thinking, oh boy, you're going to a spider's nest. But no, they find the dead bodies there. And Chakotay is immediately like, all right, we're not scanning. We're not doing anything. We're not messing with these people. We are not going to desecrate their tombs. And I was immediately thinking the back of his you know, First Nation Indian status is like, oh, okay, he's got sensitivity towards burial mounds and such. That's cool. He's standing up for them. And Janeway, of course, is like, yep, you're right. We're going to respect that. And they don't even do tricorders, right? Not even passive mode only. He's like, we're not going to take a chance of disturbing anything, which I gotta say, come on. Okay, if tricorder in passive mode, passive means you're not transmitting anything. You're just recording what's brought in. So that- that's probably a little extreme, but he says eyeballs only. And of course, Harry and Torres are like, yes, sir. And Harry and Chakotay have a nice little moment where you learn a little more. Not, it's not just Chakotay's cultural proclivities, but also when he was an ensign, he was on a thing and they found a burial site and he picked up something that he thought was just a stone as a keepsake, but turned out it was a sacred rock. And he, without knowing it, had desecrated this unknown alien's tomb. And you can tell he still feels guilty about that, which is why he uh, has been such a hard ass about not disturbing the tomb site, which is very cool. Above and beyond his own cultural proclivities, I'm not going to say the cultural thing isn't concrete, but he also has a solid personal reason for his stance on this, which is great. But of course, Torres is kind of a wise ass as always. Like, look, I've seen as much as I can. There's nothing There's nothing to see here. There's no nothing. Nothing to make out. There's no writing, no nothing. This is meaningless. I need to scan with the tricorder. He's like, well, you're and Chakotay has a great sign. Great lines. Like, well, you're seeing, but not you're looking, but you're not seeing. And he goes on to talk about the way that they have arranged the dead and how um, they're not leaving stuff with them, and they that indicates that they have a deep belief in the afterlife and that they're expect to go on to more. And which is kind of cool. After that, the rift opens and they emerge to transport out, and of course, Harry is lost. Um, Later on, Chakotay, when they are examining the alien girl, Holodoc uh, figures out that the filaments and all the cocoon-like substances that were covering them wasn't some other creature. It was just a natural, you know, emanation, if you will, a post-mortem growth that happens from their dead bodies. So she's like, yeah, so yeah, Commander, when you were walking through those web things, you were actually walking through, the remains of dead bodies. And you can tell Chakotay's like, oh, you desecrated them without knowing it again. So, which is not funny, but almost ironically humorous, if that makes any sense. Anyway, other stuff. Going through the rest of the characters. Janeway again is pretty awesome in this. Um, there's a episode 2 and episode 3, she was kind of yeah, but for the rest of this so far this season, she's been pretty great. And this one, it's great in that she's the way that she's empathetic, and and you can tell she cares and wants to be helpful to the alien girl Patara, who is obviously freaking out, right? And because when she does, the actress does a playing Patara does a really great job at the beginning. At the end, a little more perhaps stoic than I think might have been. Well, we'll get to that. But when she freaks out at the beginning, she's like, "No, this can't be right. Oh, no, no!" And Janeway's, trying to help her out. And then later on, they're talking together in, I think there's the wardroom, and Tara's having a big crisis of faith. Like, it's like we're supposed to be coming back. We're supposed to be reborn in the next emanation in our bodies. And is there no afterlife? And Janeway has a great line. She's like, "Look, I don't have the answers for you about your afterlife, but just because I don't have the answers doesn't mean the answers aren't out there," which is true. Um, and that struck me as honest and caring, but the way she put it was like, oh, hmm. But and then throughout the rest of the episode, of course, Janeway is the usual great captain. It's like, good idea, try it. Good idea, try it. Let's go. And she tries to, she warns Patara, is like, hey, can't guarantee this is going to work. Um, and a lot of people, other people might, forbade her from trying, but after she gives Patara the spiel about what the risks are, Patara says, I'm doing it. She's like, okay, your choice. And unfortunately, Patara ends up dying, but she was dead when they first met her. So we're right on the edge of death, if that makes any sense. But so in that sense, I was tempted to say no big loss, but in that sense, it's like, she got a little more life because of what they did, and that's so she's better than if they had not intervened at all. Not that they had a choice of intervening, but because she was thrust into them. But, unfortunately, she passed on without learning what Janeway and the crew learned after she passed on, which we'll get to that in a minute. On the other side, Hatil, the guy who we first meet, first meet him, his wife is, this is a very selfless and brave thing you're doing. I love you. I'm gonna miss you, but I'll see you when I get to the next emanation. He's like, I love you too, and she leaves, and it seems kind of touching. Of course, I'm thinking, okay, he's getting ready to die of his own accord, and maybe not quite like the what was the Next Generation episode where you had to kill yourself at age 60. What's that called? Half a life. But maybe something similar in that he, knew his end was coming soon, and let's go with some dignity and not be a burden to his family. And that's what I thought at first. But later on, he and Harry are talking, and we see that he's got a brace on his leg. He's been injured. He's had a hard time walking. He's like, yeah, since the accident, I've been a burden on my family. And they came to me and said I should do this, and it makes sense. So I'm going to do this. And it's like, oh, well, isn't that a dark and twisted twist to it? His wife's acting all happy, well, uh, acting like she supports him, like he made this hard choice on his own. But no, it turns out she and the rest of his family have been saying, "Hey, time for you to go because it's too hard to help take care of you," which is, on the one hand, very screwed up and heartless. On the other hand, this society is completely convinced, no doubt in their minds, about the afterlife and that they go on to the next emanation and everybody is over there waiting for them in the higher state of consciousness. And yeehaw, we'll all see each other again soon. And this is just a temporary thing. And why wouldn't they? Because apparently, for some reason, um, every time one of them dies, this rift comes up and takes the body over to the asteroids. They have no idea what it was, but it seems to be. I mean, if you had no frame of reference, that's a spiritual event, taking them away to heaven or whatever. And so they have in their minds concrete evidence that yes, the afterlife is real and we are going to it. So in that sense, if you know for certain that the next world is waiting for everybody and it's better there, and the person that you love is really having a hard time and really not really suffering, and you are suffering because of them, it would just be natural and good to say, hey, move on to the better place and we'll see you there in a few years. Eh, So it doesn't, so from that perspective, it's not the really dark and twisted kind of heartless utilitarian analysis of, kill the grandparents so I can have the money kind of thing that you initially think it is. from our frame of reference. On the other hand, it's still kind of screwed up because, well, again, from their perspective, it that's the better path. So we know from what we've seen of them that they just go there as dead bodies, and they die. That says nothing about the spiritual side of things, right? I mean, I'm a Christian. I believe in God, heaven and hell, and all that. Um, but if they're actually thinking that we're physically, you know, the same body is immediately going to be revived. Now, Christians, we believe in the resurrection of the dead coming at the end of all things, but that's not an immediate thing, and we don't know when that's going to be. So there's a parallel there, but not. So, since I believe in that, I think if loved ones passing on and moving on to the next thing is, you know, sad, but also, in some ways, uh, not joyful, but in some ways, a good, but and it's certainly a part of life that you can't avoid. But I don't think know, anyone who's the Christian mindset is going to be like, well, let's accelerate it. Let's do it faster. Right. That still is morally abhorrent in a lot of ways. These guys, though, having it actually physically seeing the bodies go every time when they constructed these coffins to make it to correspond with the sites where the emanations go from, and they constructed the coffins uh, to put somebody out right when the vortex rift, whatever they're called, happens to make it a little more, I guess, a little more sterile. But obviously, this was happening before they made these coffins. I assume. Of course, that leaves the question of how did this all come to be, right? We don't even know where these guys' planet is. I mean, when the scientist guy and Harry are talking, it's like we might be in a different dimension. Might be we don't. They have no clue. There's given no data in this entire episode of where their home is. Is it somewhere else in this universe? Is it in a different dimension? Don't know. And how did this whole process get started where they die and this rift thing happens to bring them over to this specific asteroid field in the rings around the specific planet? And has it always been that way? Did somebody tap into it by accident at some point? I mean, and what led them to create the coffin thingies to begin with? Because the coffin thingies, actually kills the person, so starts the it gets ahead of the natural process a little bit. And the times corresponding with when the rift comes. And the rifts apparently always come in the same spot at their planet, various places all over the world, same spot. And the scientist guy told Harry it happened once every 6 hours from this place where they were. Um, Voyager said they were seeing bodies show up every couple hours at first, but as more and more got pulled closer as more and more got pulled onto the ship, they're showing up, quite a lot more often than that. But if it's every few hours in each location on their planet, wherever it is, it would be almost continuous, I guess. But there's never any explanation given for how this process started. Well, what is interesting is that one of the bodies that shows up on Voyager and is just not quite dead, and then it's dead, and they register some neural energy leaving the body, and then joining with the radiation field around the the ring system in the asteroids. And it's like, okay, so I guess they do get an afterlife, assuming the neural energy is their soul, and they join with the rest of the radiation field around the planet. They don't get the physical bodies they thought they were, but they looks like they're continuing on that way, and that's something that Janeway talks to Harry about at the end. And it's too bad that Patara wasn't around long enough to, or wasn't given that information. I don't know if I think they discovered that before she actually did her experiment and ended up dying anyway. Um, It probably would have been hard to explain to her anyway, regardless. But if that is, if I don't know what the heck neural energy is. It's clearly something that knows something that they made up, but for the episode. But and how would you detect that? There's a couple of disconnects in the whole thing. When Patara first shows up, she's dead. Wait, there's still some electrical activity in her brain. She must not have died so long ago. I was like, hang on. If you're dead, there's no electrical activity in the brain. That's what dead means. But okay. Anyway. But anyway, it's a very interesting circumstance with these alien creatures because these are people that apparently have physical proof of the afterlife, and they're totally certain about it until Harry shows up. And this Hatil guy decides not to go through with his form of seppuku because Harry has destroyed his faith in it, and he gets to sneak away to the rest of the mountains. But as the scientist guy said, there's word about Harry has gotten out, and word that Harry has said he only thing he sees on the other side there is dead bodies, and even this in this short time, and you can see the scientist guy is a little perturbed about it. Has some starting to speculate about it, and certainly, well, Patara obviously did. Hatil did because Hatil has talked to Harry a few times, and that. But you could tell as soon as he saw Harry and heard Harry say the first time that he saw dead bodies, you could tell he was disturbed by it. And so I kind of think that they have definitely, much as I hate the Prime Directive, they've broken it on this one unintentionally. But I have to wonder what this alien society is what's going to happen with them going forward because that's a big monkey wrench to throw in their whole belief system. But yeah. Hmm. But anyway, Harry at the end is he says he's good to go back on duty, but Janeway can tell he's not. He's like, you got to take a couple days to process this whole thing, buddy. And that's when Harry is like, we've this the ending of this the episode is nice because it sort of puts a capstone on the whole theme. He's like talking about it's like, man, all the things we've learned, we still don't know anything about death and life after death. And that's when Janeway talks about the neural energy and the radiation thing. And Harry's like, huh. And it's like, look, she has this great discussions line too with him. It's a great little older person wisdom. It's like, look, I did a bunch of stuff when I was young ensign too, and one thing I learned now as I'm older is that we never really appreciate these deep things when they're happening. We just kind of push on and don't think about it, and then time passes so fast. If you're not careful, you can lose it, and that's the reason I'm giving you these extra couple days to ponder it and think it through. And she's looking very wistful as she's saying this, sort of like, we all have things looking back on it. It's like, man, I didn't appreciate that when I was happening. And other things like, man, I appreciated that too much. I should have paid attention to other things. We've all been there. But it was a great little moment between him and her. And of course, they sail off into the sunset. So, very good job in this episode of starting with the theme, reinforcing it, and talking about it, but not heavy handedly, right? Did through great character thing, a bunch of great character moments. Um, Talking about their perspective on both sides of the 'cause this is really a philosophical discussion through this whole episode, philosophical and spiritual, um, and theological. Of course, it's all one. And a great job of maintaining that theme through the whole episode. So I dug it a lot. The guest characters were cool. The guy who played Hatil was very endearing. The girl who played Patara she was really good at the beginning with freaking out, and in the middle, which coming to terms with what the hell's going on. At the end, she seemed a little too easily stoic about I'm ready to die if necessary. It's like, really, shipmate? You've just had your entire your entire worldview about life, death, and the afterlife thrown on its head, and so now you s- you seem to be thinking that there is no afterlife, and so it's if you really think there's nothing more, should you really be that quick to let go? I don't know. The woman playing Hatil's wife was she did a good job. The wife character is interesting because at the beginning it's like, yeah, she really does love him, and then in the middle when she's like, can't have doubts now. Yeah, just because this dude showed up, there's no reason to throw away a lifetime of belief, which is true. But you can also see a little bit of "I want you gone" in the expression on her face, which is great acting. But then she's also mad at Harry for screwing the whole thing up. It's like, at the same time, she also does actually love him because at the burial ceremony at the end, when she thinks Harry is Satil in the coffin, um, she's got some genuine, they all have a bittersweet thing. It's like, gonna miss you, but 100% have no doubt I'll see you again, and you're better off going this way. And so it's like it's interesting dichotomy. The science guy, I thought sure he was gonna turn heel when he said we got to run a bunch of tests on you. I was like, oh boy, they're gonna dissect Harry, but no, they didn't. They were just doing tests and stuff. But when he said we got to move you out here for your own protection, I was like, okay, now he's turning heel. He's gonna pull a fast one, but he didn't, which was actually a pleasant surprise. Of course, Harry and Teal didn't give him time to really, but it was nice to see that he was actually genuine. So that's cool. Anyway, that was Emanations. I dug it. Like I said, I thought this was solid. Liked it a lot, and we'll looking forward to the next episode coming up, which I haven't looked the name up yet for yet. But yeah, we're 8 episodes in, about a third of the way through the season, and liking it. My son's been watching with me, and he likes it too. So hey, Zoomers approve as well. Yeah, so come back in a couple days, or at the very least next week, and we'll do the next one. And you can tell me what you thought of these episodes too. That'll be great. That's what the comments are for. In the meantime, like I said, I do write fiction for fun and profit. I got a lot of great books out there for you to check out. Uh, at, and at the risk of being excessively mercenary about it, oopsie, wrong, wrong thing. This is my bookstore, microkingswood.com/store. Whole bunch of books that I have written that you can check out if you'd like. We're talking science fiction stuff. This one here, Warfare Qualified, is military sci-fi. This one, The Pericles Conspiracy, is alien first contact sci-fi. Glimmer Veil Chronicles is a series of books. There's heroic fantasy, fun stuff. You can go from there. You can also, of course, go to all the various retailers, michaelkingswood.com/books to read the number 2. We'll get you over here. This is the Universal Book Link aggregator. You can pick on a title, click on it, and it'll give you links to all the various retailers who are not my site. I prefer my site because I make more money than if you go through the retailers. But some people like Kindle and iBooks and all the other places, so I like to be everywhere people can be. Also, here on the channel, I read stories of mine and talk about other stuff that I find interesting. So stick around there. Make sure you're subscribed and liked, and come back for some of that, or just come back for next week for the next week or in a couple days. I do at least one of these Voyager discussions a week, sometimes two. I come back for the next one, and we'll talk through what we think about that. So hey, hope to see you then. Until then, don't do anything I wouldn't do.